And welcome back to The Good Life with Patrick Harney. Thank you again for stopping by. We get into part two, the remainder of the discussion that I had with Chris Davis from last week. And yeah, we dive into some heavy stuff. And we also have some good laughs along the way as well. So, as always, make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that good stuff. Hit the notification button so that way it can let you know when a new episode comes out. And with that being said, let's just jump right in.
You know, I started going to therapy 5 years ago, and I would go every Saturday, and I went every Saturday for 2.5 years because I knew I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I have things in life and I need to talk to a psychologist who can help me work through. And he didn't tell me how to feel or what to think. He just helped me get better at road mapping through my challenges and gave me some perspective and some things to think about. And, I'm so proud of where I am today. And I guess, this is something that I've kind of wanted to put out into the world for a long time, but I've never had the guts. And I think maybe 3 or 4 people know this in my life. And I feel called to share it right now,
Mm-hmm.
just put it out there.
Yeah.
I was sexually abused as a child for like 4 years by an extended family member.
Wow.
And I didn't understand it then. And I didn't understand the pain, the suffering, the trauma
Yeah.
that did to me. And I didn't realize how that was ripple affecting through my life and why I was doing the things I was doing. And it wasn't until I went to therapy that we sat there, this giant ball of crud, and we just started peeling stuff off of it. And I found that nugget of what my core issue was.
Yeah.
Why I have trust issues, why I have relationship issues, why I was unfaithful with a lot of my girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a little boy, I was taught that intercourse was a tool of control.
Mm.
And it was something that took me 2.5 years of therapy to process.
Yeah.
And to get over. And it took a Pro You podcast, and it took me reading 10, 15, 20 self-help books, making notes, writing sticky notes, listening to podcasts. Like, I was hungry for growth. I was tired of being the same version of myself.
Yeah.
A huge turning point for me was when Robin Williams died. Freaking love Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And when he killed himself, it blew me away because he was so happy.
Yeah.
And that was the first wake-up call. And then when Anthony Bourdain passed away,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, what if I can't fight this fight anymore?
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay now. I used to be suicidal, depressive, borderline alcoholic, drug addict, anything to numb the pain I didn't know was there.
Yeah.
And until I started looking at that and shining light on it and saying, no, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
I didn't get better. And when Anthony Bourdain, who was a heroin addict turned master, amazing chef, TV show, like, dude, this dude's on cloud nine.
Yeah.
And then to fall back into his addiction in his 50s and pass away, it scared the crap out of me. We're coming back to death. I thought about my death. And I said, you know what? I refuse to be this way.
Yeah.
No more negative talk. We're stopping. Now, if I'm driving home and I have a negative thought, I'll indulge it and say, okay, let's let that go, Chris. And then 10 minutes later, it comes up again. I'll feel it and then, okay, we'll let it go. And I was unhappy 4 or 5 days a week since I can remember. Well, not so I can remember, but after like the age of like 16, which right after my sexual abuse. And that's just how life was. And I said, no, this is not how life is. And over a course of 6 years, that negative voice got quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter. And I got happier and happier and happier. Good. I started reading more and more. I went to therapy. I started doing all these things, and it takes time.
Yeah.
Small, consistent steps, not big changes, The body doesn't like big changes. It's not going to work. You watch these, these diet plans and all that, and people will lose weight and they gain all back because they're losing like 20 pounds in a month.
Yeah.
The body doesn't work that way. The body likes small, consistent changes.
Yeah.
And so that's how you have to work with your brain. And the biggest thing I had to learn was self-love. When I start getting down on myself, I just say, it's all right, buddy, I love you. We're going through this right now. It's okay. And you know what? Tomorrow will be better. 10 minutes will be better. And you're doing the best you can. And you're better than you were yesterday. You're better than you were a week ago. You are a different man than you were in 2015.
Yeah.
That keeps me going.
Yeah.
I have to be my own hero. I have to be my own support group. I'm in the background like, yeah, get a CD.
You're your own hype man, right?
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting is on my last episode with I had a gentleman named Rob Parks on, and he was talking about he was in a national tour for Lion King on Broadway.
Dope.
Dude's super cool, and he actually went to school with Allison, our oldest sister, and one thing that he said that really stuck with me, and a couple people have said a couple people have reached out to me and said I love this viewpoint, is he said, I may not have 100% to give, but I'm going to give 100% of the 80% that I have to give today.
Amen.
Or 100% of the 67% I have to give today.
Yeah.
And I've never thought about it like that, but I love that. Because to me, I think it's okay to not have everything to give all the time, as long as you're giving everything you have of what you do have to give.
Well, he's also putting the perspective on the majority, right? How he's looking at the 67, not the 33.
Yeah.
And it's like how often
I didn't even think about that.
How often in life are we so upset about this one thing?
Yeah.
Yet we have this trophy wall behind us.
Yeah.
And we're just like, but I did this one thing wrong. But you did all of this right.
Yeah.
Why aren't we focusing on the 60? Why are we focusing on the 40? And it's that perspective shift.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, man. And
that's good. I like that.
Well, and I want to thank you too. I want to thank you for everything you just shared, because
Thanks for
because that is truly remarkable. That
it's a tough thing to talk about, and it's a tough thing to put out in the world.
Yeah. But to be able to have the confidence in doing that because of where you are now, I think a lot of people can learn from that. So thank you for that.
Well, I've been asking myself, like, what's my dharma and what's my purpose? And sometimes our greatest purpose is our greatest trauma.
Yeah.
If we've worked through it.
Yeah.
And over the past couple of years, I've been feeling called to, there are a lot of sexually abused boys out there.
Yeah.
A lot. And it doesn't get talked about. And I think I'm ready to tell my story. And I think I'm ready to have that be my dharma. Yeah. I want to talk to every boy, every man who's been sexually abused, and show them, one, just be compassionate and just be present and listen.
Yeah.
I want to have an organization. I'm not sure what it's permeating right now, but there needs to be a place for these men. Yeah. Because a lot of these men, generations and generations and generations, have gone through this. And I can't help but to think that's where some of the toxic masculinity comes from in our culture, is these men who have been sexually abused, and they're not talking about it. They're not telling anyone because they're ashamed.
There's a big stigma around it.
And it causes
no matter how people feel, about, what's masculine and what's not. No, I don't care who you are. No man wants to sit there and say that they were sexually abused. Nobody wants to say that. I mean, nobody in general wants to say that, but I think especially men, because there is a stigma around that. Mm-hmm. I think men think that they'll be seen as weak.
Absolutely.
And so So yeah, but it does happen.
Oh,
Statistically,
it's huge.
not as much, but as
I
women,
mean,
obviously.
look at that huge thing that just came out with the Boy Scouts. I think it was like a year ago now or something.
Oh,
There,
jeez.
like
Oh,
that's a real deal. I mean,
yeah,
it was, it happens,
yeah,
and it's like we need to talk about it.
yeah,
And if I have to be vulnerable, and I want to be,
yeah.
and talk about it, dude, I'm on the front line.
Look at
I'm
people like
100%
Matthew
ready.
McConaughey. Look at people like Matthew McConaughey in his new book. He talked about
I
how,
haven't read it yet, but
dude,
I hear
dude,
it's amazing. Green light, right?
green lights, dude. Dude. Oh, dude, you should get the audio version because it's him reading it.
I got audiobook, so that's what I was gonna do.
It's him reading it
Who doesn't want to listen to Matthew McConaughey read a book?
about his own life, especially
He could
the
read a
stories.
dictionary and I'd be in.
Dude, the stories. He could literally read the ingredients off of a box and I would be interested. But but he talks about how he was sexually abused twice. One time he was knocked out and taken advantage of while he was knocked out. That happened to him twice. And so to have someone who I feel like is seen as a manly man
Sure.
talk about that and
We all
go,
saw Rain of Fire, dude.
dude, nobody talks about that movie, but it's a great
I
movie.
know.
There's
Except for I
a
hate
young
how he
Gerard Butler.
dies.
I know,
Yeah. I'm
but
just
yeah,
like,
like
anywho, that's a whole nother.
that's a whole nother story. But dude, no, but really though, I mean, like, but what was cool about it was because he talked about it in interviews too. People would ask him, and he would say, like, they would ask him, "Well, how do you feel about that?" And he goes, "Well, I never felt like a victim. Like
Yeah.
I never let it, take hold of me. Like to me, it was something that happened. I couldn't control it. I'm not gonna allow it to defeat me."
And that's a hard
That's a hard thing to.
perspective.
That's a hard thing to come to terms with.
I
Uh,
didn't think my abuse affected me until I realized that it for sure gripped me. It was just
yeah.
packed. It was just a bunch of crap on the outside that was just masking it.
Well, for
So
4 years, I mean, 4 years is a lot different than two instances, but you know
yeah,
what I mean.
yeah,
So that's heavy.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, just I guess to kind of come back to what I was saying, I really appreciate that and everything you said.
Yeah.
Dude, you should have your own podcast, man.
I mean, I've thought about it.
You would freaking kill the podcast game, dude. Come
So I
on.
actually am working on that right now. And
Yes.
I have I've been recording audios, you know,
Yeah.
throughout this trip. And I probably got 4 or 5 episodes locked in. But that was I think it's gonna be kind of a mix. There's gonna be some that are like introspective, personal
Hmm.
audio ones, but I really do think these kinds of face to face, like this format for the podcast is really important,
Yeah.
you know. And I understand that, I guess if it's on Spotify or some platform, it's going to be just audio no matter what.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of I'm slowly telling my story and my little nuggets, as you would say, and
Yeah.
my little pieces through this. And when I get to a point to where I can have a few on there, I'm gonna start to release them. And once I do that, I'd eventually like to get some one-on-one FaceTime too with some people and talk about these issues. And a big issue that I know I'm starting to feel called to speaking about is these sexual abuse issues with guys. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying the podcast is gonna be centered around that, but it's something that I know so vividly.
Yeah.
I've lived it. I
Yeah.
understand it. And I think when we talk about something, when we share something, they say, you don't know it till you can teach it.
Mm.
And not saying that, anywho, it
You would
makes
be
it
you would be
easier.
helping teach and walk through
It's one thing I'm
the
talking about
growth.
sexual abuse because I'm a psychologist and I've researched it. It's
Mm.
another thing if I was sexually abused,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
feel like that is a place that I need to pull from.
Hmm.
And then, of course, have a bunch of fun conversations like this and
Yeah,
little
dude.
anecdotes and all that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
I'm working on it. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, and that's why I like doing the video version and an audio version because, people can listen to it on. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. But you can also
Your
watch it.
voice is so soft when you do that. Can you do that again? Just say anything.
Anything. I'm like kind of whispering, but I'm also not.
Like pillow talk.
Yeah. But I also like doing the YouTube version because I can have these conversations and you
Yeah.
pick up things in the video version that,
And we're visual people, right?
yeah,
I mean, as
I'm
humans, we're
very much a visual
visual.
person.
So,
I watch the Joe Rogan podcasts. I don't listen to
right.
it. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy watching them because I enjoy seeing the interaction.
The animation, the
Yeah,
excitement,
exactly.
the when people get real, like you feel that.
And also like the weird face that I'm making right now that nobody can see if you're listening to this, but whatever. So then they're like, oh, now I have to go and watch this. Okay. Well, I want to kind of flip a little bit because there's another thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the goods. Tell me about cooking with Jesus. Or shall I say,
So
tell everyone about cooking with Jesus?
so a part of my healing and a part of my growth was finding a hobby, finding something that when I do it, time stops. My mind stops. All of the past, all of the anxiety of the future and unknowns just gets put to rest. And I quickly found out when I moved downtown that cooking became a meditation for me. I could put on some jazz or some blues, a record in my loft, have everything off, and just cook. Just hear the tempo of the knife cutting the celery or the chives, or slicing that piece of meat just ever so delicately, and actually enjoying the movement,
Hmm.
and not just cooking because I'm hungry, but putting love and energy into what I'm cooking, because everything is energy. Everything releases and stores energy. And if you put love into something and then you consume it, I guarantee you that love is going to then permeate inside you. I believe it with my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And cooking just became almost like one of my steps in AA or something like that. It just became something that just helped heal me.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, well, I like being on camera. I like seeing myself. I like talking. I'm charismatic. So I'm going to start recording
Yeah.
my cooking, and I'm going to start posting it because I was really having fun with it. And it started with cooking with Chris. And I did a couple of videos, and my hair, like I said, my hair is like down to here. It's super long and it's curly, and I had a beard. And I had a buddy who's just like, man, this ain't cooking with Chris. This is cooking with Jesus. And I wasn't like talking about like spiritual stuff. I was just doing, I was just
Look like
cooking.
Jesus.
I just looked like Jesus, I guess. I had this one round light in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And if I stood right under it, it looked like a halo. So whenever I'd come in, I'd be like, and I'd be like, welcome to Cooking with Jesus. And there'd be this like rim of light under me.
That's
And
awesome.
so that's where Cooking with Jesus started. And I was just doing it for fun, and started doing that a whole bunch and making tons of videos and posting. And it just kind of like became a thing.
Mm.
And I really I make good food, I make shitty food. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes my presentation is decent, and sometimes it's garbage. But
That's squash
it's not about that.
ratatouille, though. That's
Oh,
squash
dude, that
ratatouille.
squash ratatouille, though. I knocked that out of the
Banging.
park.
Slap.
I was going to ask what your favorite meal was.
Oh, dude.
Or if you had a
my
favorite course, entree.
Oh. Oh, my
Maybe
God.
it was a ratatouille.
It was either the ratatouille or it was those waffles.
Those Belgian waffles, baby.
That you made. But they were like ultra healthy. Like that whole breakfast with the burritos and the fruit, the fresh fruits, like everything that you made that whole week. Dude,
well, one thing that was really important to me.
My favorite meal was literally all of the food that you made because it was
perfect.
It was so
I dig
good.
that.
but that squash ratatouille was what the kids call lit. I mean, it was so good, dude. Oh man.
Well, one thing I told myself when I came that weekend is I didn't know how hard you guys were going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So the most important thing for me was that you guys stayed nourished.
Yeah.
If you were going to do a lot of being outside and drinking, I want to make sure that you had good carbs, good protein, some good fats, so that way you could enjoy the weekend in between, all the shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I prepared you guys whole foods. I didn't go as extreme as I would have, because you just never know what people like to eat. But I tried to make as healthy of a meal plan for you guys the whole weekend, so you guys could have the best time. And without even knowing it, maybe that good food, it just fuels your body, and it helps to recover. It helps to like I knew on Saturday you guys would be hitting it. So I wanted to have like a pasta salad, something with some carbs that would, like the potatoes soak stuff up. So I was like, I need to have things. I need some breads, some things, some carbs that can soak up some of the shenanigan drinks,
Dude, I mean, all of it was just so good. And
Love
I love following, because you have multiple Instagrams.
Yeah.
And I love seeing all the meals that you cook, and you can tell the joy that you get out of making everything that you do.
And I can't
Because
remember if I've changed the intro or not, but basically with that page, it says right on there, like, come, live, laugh, and let's ignite our culinary souls. Like, if it looks good or not, who cares? I just want to cook, have a connection, and laugh, have a good time.
yeah. And
But
I
we're
think
also cooking good food.
yeah, also cook, but I think if people had more, if people focused on that sort of thing more in different aspects of their lives, I think people would find that they're happier, because you're changing the focus on, like, you're not making that stuff to be like, okay, I want to make this perfect, so that way, like, maybe I can get famous from doing this. No, you're doing it because you enjoy cooking food, you love the nourishment, and you want to make a connection with people. That's it. Like, I do this. I'm not doing this to try and make Joe Rogan money. That's insane. You know what I mean? If I get there someday, great. But I do this because I want to have a connection with people, and I want to get to know people's story more, and I want to get people's story out so other people can know that story more. That's why I love doing this. And I think if you come into, or if you go into doing something with a genuine appreciation for said thing and what it can do for you and others, that's where the success will start to come. Because if you go into it, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I remember my cousin who's, or one of my cousins who's also an actor, had told me, he asked me, he said, let me ask you something. Do you want to be a star, or do you want to be an actor?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I want to be an actor. And he said, good answer. He said, because the people who want to become a star wash out within a year.
Yeah. You don't have the grit. You don't have the longevity.
They just want the end result, the fame, the money, the whatever. But I want to be a working actor. I want acting to pay my bills. You know what I mean? That's the difference. And I want to be able to tell stories and entertain people. So yeah, it's all about how you approach whatever you're doing in your life.
It's not the quantity of life, it's the quality.
Exactly.
Right? Are you doing that 33% because you just want to get that, or are you doing the 60, the 67?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Exactly.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's how Cooking with Jesus started. And hold on. That was one of the alarms on my phone. So I have about 4 or 5 alarms that go off every day to remind me of things.
Oh, wow.
And there's like 9:37, 11:11, 12:12, 3:33, 4:44. Like 4:44 is, it's going to be okay. 12:12 is, you are not your old habits. Make a choice. 9:37 is just
to go take a piss. Oh,
Observe.
okay. Observe. That's probably much better.
Observe.
Not to go take a piss.
Right. And 1111 is, what choices are you giving power? And
Mm,
there's these things that just go up every day, because it just kind of like, one, it is a little break between the busy day. And I can say, okay, you get like this, your perspective, and then that alarm goes off and you're like, okay, observe, Christopher. What are you doing right now?
yeah.
What choices are you giving power right now? Okay. You are not your old self. Break the habit. What am I doing today that I need to maybe think about that? Maybe nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's something. It keeps me conscious. So that way I don't just get into that numbing motion of life, which can happen sometimes. So 937.
Wow, man. Um,
And a lot of that came from actually, I learned about that from, I haven't put it on I think I have too many accounts for IG. Maybe I should just have it all on one account. I don't know, because I have that Zen Jesus one. Or no, I
yeah.
think it's called Sticky Note Vibes now. I think I changed it to Sticky Note Vibes.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
it
you should consolidate, man.
I know
Min-
they're all linked on
minimize,
my
man.
Christopher_Lynn. They're all linked there. But that one right there is all sticky notes
Yeah.
of quotes, anecdotes, things that I've learned along the way to help me get over things and to heal my traumas, and
Yeah.
to just live these good vibes that I want to live, to be this man I want to be.
Yeah, man.
So the alarms
That's
help.
awesome.
They help me.
Yeah. Now before I end every show, I always like to do, the goods, and just some questions that I kind of want to pick your brain and see where you're at. So, numero uno, where is one place in the world that you have yet to go that you really, really want to visit?
Vietnam.
Really?
Oh yeah. I've been wanting to go to Vietnam a couple years now, 2-3 years. It started off like Indonesia area, but then I was kind of thinking about, I've been to China, been to India, I've been over that way. Japan's on the list, but there was just something about Vietnam, Laos, just, it still feels kind of raw and untouched by, everywhere's got commercialism, obviously, but there was just something calling me to Vietnam. And for the past, like, I mean, you saw how quick I answered that. Like,
Yeah, you had that down.
I want to go to Vietnam, and I want to go up into the mountains, and I want to experience the culture. I want to see the people. I want to just be, there's something about that culture in general that just feels very grounding. It's a very respectful culture. It's a very, I feel like, patient culture. And I don't know. I haven't been there yet to quite identify why I feel called to go there. But
Yeah.
like, once we can start traveling internationally, Vietnam for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go do it, man.
Yeah.
Get out there.
Oh, I mean, you know me, it's happening.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If I say it's happening.
Yeah. So what's okay? Now, what's your favorite movie and why of all time?
I love movies.
I know you do, and we
So,
talked about movies a lot, so I'm very interested in this answer.
okay, well, since we were talking about, I said Vietnam, the first thing that came to my mind is Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. There is something about the Japanese samurai culture, the honor, the talk about life practice.
Yeah.
That's something we haven't really talked about on this episode is, do we do things for a season, a reason, or a lifetime? And in general, when we work on things in life, it's not just to get better. It's not just to lose that 20 pounds. It's a life change. It is a life habit. It is a life practice. This version of me, all the stuff that we're talking about today, once I start being my best self, I'm not just going to throw that under the rug.
Yeah.
It's life practice every day, every week, every year. I am practicing this over and over and over again. So there's something about I mean, the samurai, dude, they would like just hone a skill. Like, I just make swords all day. That's it. Or I just shoot arrows all day. Like, or I just work in this farm. And I don't just work in the farm. I respect and I love every grain of rice I plant. And I feel the water on my feet and the mud in between my toes. Like, there's this presence, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that was my first thought.
Okay.
The next one was Lion King, because it's just an amazing, I love Disney. That's just an incredible movie. I've seen Lion King more times than I think I would like to count. Actually, no, I'm gonna say 1,000 because it deserves that kind of credit. Like, that's a great movie.
Well, okay. Have you seen the live action one?
I have, and I was disappointed.
I also was too. Yeah.
They made the animals, yes, they made the animals so real that the script and the voice didn't match what the animal was doing.
There was
and
no
there was
emotion.
a disconnect from the emotion. So I was just like,
somebody
dude,
made
Scar would be acting differently.
right? Somebody made I saw online, somebody made a like a reanimation of frames, certain frames of the movie to give them more animated eyes, like cartoonish eyes and a cartoonish face. And it was so much better.
Well, I mean,
Like, oh, man, it would have been so better.
You have to animate these expressions because no species has the level of expressions as humans do.
Yeah.
And that animates our dialogue. Animals, they can be expressive, but like, it's just not the same. They're not, like, it's very rare. I mean, we've seen some of those YouTube videos where there's some animals that are just characters,
Yeah.
but that's very, very rare. And I think they just took it a little too far to the realism of it,
And I think Jon Favreau directed that.
I can't remember.
I think it was him.
I mean, normally it was spot on to the cartoon.
Yes, it was.
Like, I mean, that was like the same movie.
Yeah.
But then it was just flat.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so what's your favorite dish to cook? What's like if somebody says I want the CD signature dish?
The CD signature dish is right here. All right, you gotta come eat this up right here. Okay. I don't fit on a plate, ladies, but I'm delicious.
Do you hear that, ladies?
Huh? I am single and ready to mingle. I will cook for you. I will make sure your clothes are folded perfectly because I'm OCD. I'm like 6'3", so I can reach really tall places.
There you go.
I'm super good at opening up tight jars.
Hey, there you go.
I can pick heavy things up.
Yeah.
And every now and then I can be a freaking romantic.
He'll also cry right there with you.
We'll do a mani-pedi. We'll put a face mask on and we'll watch The Notebook. And I'm going to be right there wishing I was Ryan Gosling. Hey, if you want the Georgian house with the blue shutters and the paint room looking over the river, baby, you got it.
Oh, you literally can do that.
Literally.
You're a freaking architect. You can do that.
Oh, by the way, I've also done construction, so I can build and design your house.
Dude, it's the whole package. Are you kidding me?
I would say my favorite meal to cook. I hate this answer because it feels like a cop-out, but I am so present when I cook that I just enjoy the process.
What a sellout answer.
I know, but I will say the meal that I spent the most time so far cooking, I spent the most energy on, was I made a surf and turf.
Oh.
And if somebody wanted like a real special dinner, and if they did eat meat, if not, I'd make adjustments, but the surf and turf is a lot of fun because there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of prep. You get your meat out, you get your room temperature, you're seasoning it, you're letting it come to room temperature, whether you do reverse searing, pan searing, or whether you do it on a grill. And then the au jus and all the stuff you do for the shrimp tail. It's just like, it's simple, but there's a lot you got to do. It's like simple, but it's a simple dish, but it's complex to make.
Yeah.
And when you cook that shrimp, and you open it up and you pull that shrimp tail out and you set it on the, I think on a video, what I call them dragon scales, but shrimp scales. You set the presentation is just simple and beautiful. And it's just, I would do like a ribeye, shrimp and like an asparagus.
Oh, dude.
3 things that like, You kind of can't mess up. I can also teach. I have little things I could teach about each one, which is fun because while you're cooking, it's nice to cook, but you also want to like teach people things while you're cooking. So
Yeah.
that would be a nice meal that I could cook for someone. We could learn a little bit. We wouldn't have to, be cooking for 4 or 5 hours. And then at the end of the day, you got a nice presentation and, you got your seafood, you got your beef, you got your greens, maybe a nice bottle of red,
Yeah.
not to mention in general, that just kind of speaks romance, maybe some candles going.
And then you
Whether
sit
you're
down
a
and
guy
watch
or a
The
girl, I'm going to
Notebook,
light some
right?
candles,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
matter.
dude. Yeah, you got to
Okay.
have a nice scent in the room, man.
It just might be lavender or it might be like leather. Depends on what candle,
Leather.
who I'm with.
Leather.
That is a scent.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
And
Man,
if it's not that, then I would say it was probably that ratatouille dish
yeah, dude.
because it's just so colorful.
Yeah, that was the other
Yeah.
thing that it was really cool about it was it was so bright in its presentation,
A couple
which was
different
really nice.
squashes, your potatoes. I did sweet potatoes,
Yeah.
tomatoes. I think I had a yellow squash, acorn squash. And just when you layer those up, it's just like, and what you can also do is you can take slices of like Parmesan cheese or slices of mozzarella. I didn't do it, but
Mhm.
you can like slide that in between there as well
Mm.
as the toppings.
Yeah.
That's the next one you're gonna get.
Yeah, for
I've been
sure.
doing some playing.
Yeah. Um, okay, and then finally, what are some methods that you've adopted to keep yourself centered and grounded? I feel like you've touched on some of them maybe already, but when you when you were looking at your life and say, okay, I need to try and center myself more, or I need to try and and ground myself. If you think, if you're in a moment where like, all right, I'm feeling a little high and mighty here. How do I bring myself, or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, how do I bring myself to an even keel? What are some things that you do?
Nature,
Yeah.
100%. Going in nature. Um, the earth has its own magnetic field that it wants to resonate and harmonize with us.
Yeah.
And going out, taking my shoes off, putting my feet on the ground. I've worn shoes the past 2 months than I have an entire year. Like if there's not snow on the ground, I'm barefoot.
Yeah.
So connecting with the earth, grounding, going on a hike. I'm a Pisces, so go jump in a river or go jump in a lake. Those things really help me get out of my mind and help me recenter. Sometimes exercise, right? Like
Mm.
I love going on bike rides. So going for a bike ride. I played soccer my whole life, going for a run, playing soccer, something active
Yeah.
always helps, when you have to move and do stuff like that, you can't think about other things. Your body just shuts those down. You hear about that runner's high where you get running and all of a sudden like everything just disappears. And you're
Hmm.
just because all your body can think about is like, don't quit, keep them legs moving.
Yeah.
So I would say first and foremost, get in the sun, take some deep breaths. Like, right? Like our breath is our spirit line. How often do we think that this is keeping me alive? I'm making oxygen. This is feeding my body. And if
Yeah.
I go like we
Yeah.
need to breathe.
Yeah.
So coming back to my breath and remembering that there's a lot going on, but I am an inhale and exhale. That's super important.
Yeah.
Being in the sun, sitting and breathing and just breathe is huge. Being in nature is huge. Putting
Mm.
my phone down, putting the world down,
Yeah.
understanding that I am one person in a big state, in a giant country, in a very large world, in an infinite universe.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Does this really matter?
Yeah.
Does this opinion or that or whatever I'm feeling like a lot of times too, if it's during the day outside, if it's at night, I go up and I look at the stars.
Mm.
Anytime I'm feeling a certain way, if I go look at the stars, it makes me right. It
Mm.
just everything just kind of just flows away. And I'm just, oh, that's right. We're a tiny little speckle in this huge universe.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean, it doesn't devalue us here, but there's just more than me.
Yeah.
There's more than me.
Yeah.
And when I can kind of set that aside a little bit, there's more of the world and all that, and just look at the awe of nature that is been here long before I got here and will be here long after I leave.
Yeah.
Kind of just settles me down and allows me to just be present, those help me tremendously. And then also, whatever calls you,
Mm-hmm.
run towards it as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that consistently, I feel like you're consistently more grounded.
Yeah. Well, hey man, what a better way to end off a great episode, and a great conversation. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. And thanks for telling your story as well. And also just getting to see you again, man.
Dude, I miss you.
Yeah, man. I miss having these conversations more. And
those bonfire conversations, we had some good ones.
Yeah, we did.
Weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And man, I hope the rest of your travel is very fulfilling for you. And I hope it's safe, fun, wild, enjoyable, and all the above. So thank you, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's going to be a wild ride. I think I got 10 or 11 weeks left. I'm going to start heading back towards Michigan the 1st of May. I'm in Idaho. I'm going to go down to Utah. I'm going to do some Arizona, California, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, North Carolina, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and then back home.
Man,
the trip started off being all about introversion and thinking, and slowly kind of turned into being a trip about unity. So I've saw my cousin Matt in Colorado, my aunt and uncle in Wyoming, who I haven't seen since '92. I'm here in Boise with my buddy Tim. I got to sit here and have a podcast with you, Patrick. I have some family in Texas and North Carolina and Pennsylvania, and it's about exploring, but also connecting. Yeah. And so starting May, I'm going to start making my way home, and eventually I'll be home in mid-June.
That's awesome.
And then you and I are going to have to get together and
dude.
Hang out, man.
For sure, man. I'm all in. You just let me know.
All right, deal. I appreciate you very much, Patrick. Very, very, very grateful for you. I'm so happy that our paths have crossed, because it's for everybody. And I really appreciate you. And I love what you're doing. I love watching you. I love following your journey. And you're living fulfilled yourself, and you're doing some amazing things. I can see it's coming from your heart. Yeah. Keep living that way. I'm very proud of you. And I love watching you shine, brother.
Well, thank you, man. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Amen.
All right, and that concludes this episode of The Good Life. Thank you to CD for coming on. That man's outlook on things is, I think, what everybody should strive for. Truly a blessing to have him on. And thank you to all of you who watched. If you made it this far, you hopefully learned a lot, and hopefully could get some things that could really help you in your life as well. So thank you very much. Finally let you all go, and we'll see you next week.